Kevin Roth here of Rotogrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that Rotogrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on Rotogrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels, and we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your Rotogrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @Rotogrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord. Kevin Roth.
What's up, Rotogrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is a daily fantasy handle around the industry. It's the flagship show here at Rotogrinders called Grinderslive. We are, it's kind of the appetizer slate for tomorrow night. We're kind of talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's a 12-gamer. It's DFS. All we care about today. And today only, it's a 6-gamer tonight. First ever combination platter of this threesome, I believe. Kirk D's, Chris Kirkwood. I believe we've never had me, you, and you guys talking a pre-show. You guys are introducing each other. So it would only make sense. Yourself and Keith, how do you feel our chemistry is going to be? How's our usage going to be?
I think it's going to be fine. I don't think Keith doesn't seem very combative. You know, it seems like if whatever I'm saying, yep, he's probably going to agree with, and I'm probably going to agree with whatever he says. So I think it'll go smoothly.
Yeah,
it's not like Siege. It's not like first show with Siege up here. You know.
Well, he probably wants to talk about Drew. What's his name in Seattle? As the quarterback, as far as
big day for him.
Yeah, he's got to come up with some new excuses.
Definitely like Seattle won this trade. You know that's coming. Like
future Hall of Famer.
Big day for the Seahawks.
He better hand the ball off good. I don't know how good he is at handing the ball off, but that's Seattle. Hey, we'll talk about that another time, I'm sure. It's a 6-game slate. Who knows what we'll get into throughout the show, but of course we're focusing here on the 6-game basketball slate. Keith, now it's your job you got to be combative now. You got to throw Kirkwood off.
I know. Man. I should have said that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm prepared for that, but we'll see what he throws at me. I did hear some chatter about the Clippers earlier pre-show, so maybe I can throw some feedback on that.
I hope all the usage goes both your way and Kirkwood's way when it comes to the Clippers, because they are my least favorite team, I think. Well, what am I least? They're on the FanDuel board, nothing else. As far as my least favorite teams, like kind of break down and sort of prognosticate just from game to game, they just sort of throw me off. So, and it's weird the way the schedule goes tonight. Obviously, 6-gamer, a back half of the TNT doubleheader. I think it's TNT, one of the national TV stations, maybe it's ESPN. But like the first 5 games are within the first hour, 8 o'clock, and then we have a 2-hour break, and it's the Clippers and Golden State. Golden State coming back in the back half, but they're back to back. All their main guys are back. We'll talk about that, but. Yeah, Keith, I'm happy to yield. I'm happy to take no usage. I will be your Tony Snell when it comes to breaking down the Clippers, because that's just not fun for me. I don't enjoy it, and it's hard to be right. I don't know.
So it is 2 TNT games, 7:30 and 10 o'clock, and which is nice, 10 o'clock, because I really felt the effects of the 10:30 start time last night, because it was like the game ended and it was 1 a.m. Like I had to literally sweat till the very last possession. I needed like 1 point from De'Aaron Fox for like 6 minutes, and he missed two free throws, and it was just like he didn't score anything. He finally got like just a garbage time assist there at the very end.
Did you need it for a bet or for DFS, like a total?
No, for DFS.
Oh man, but are you normally in bed by like 12:30, 1 o'clock?
No, but it's just like then I'm like, when it's like when I really have like a sweat going, then I'm like amped up, so then I can't go to sleep for a while. It's
you fire up the Netflix or something, or you go on
the whole thing. Yeah, usually that or Hulu or HBO Max. How'd you like the new Lakers show, Winning Time?
I'm excited, man. I'm fun. It looks like, I mean, look, I'm in on John C. Reilly as like a general rule. Adam McKay is usually really solid too. Yeah, I mean, it was basically a pilot episode.
John C. Reilly was amazing already. Like his look, like it was just like he nailed it. Like so, I'm really excited.
Yeah. I'm looking. I think there's like 10 episodes too. It says season 1, but I don't know if they go. How many seasons can they actually have this? I assume it's just a 1 season thing, but who knows? Do you know what we're talking about here, Keith?
I'm unaware of this one. It's a Lakers documentary, or?
Well, it's like it tells the story of the Lakers dynasty, the rise of the Lakers dynasty, and John C. Reilly of Boogie Nights fame, of what other movie would
Step Brothers?
Step Brothers, yeah. Dewey Cox, the Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which is an underrated movie, by the way.
He's got a million. Yeah, he's amazing, this guy.
And he's like a great like dramatic actor too. He's one of my favorites, John C. Reilly. But yeah, it's on the HBO, and he plays Dr. Jerry Buss, the guy, the owner of the Lakers.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a bit of a playboy apparently. At least he was at one point in his life. I'm sure they dramatized, obviously, and there's like Magic Johnson in there, and Kareem made an appearance for a second. It's it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
I have to check it out for sure.
Yeah. How about tonight's slate? We were kind of talking about this one briefly as well too, Keith. We're gonna break it down obviously game by game in just a second. Got plenty of time. We're here for over an hour. What's up? If you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, do subscribe, do turn on notifications, join our Discord, which I believe Discord is back up and running. Rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. There are some premium channels. This is not a premium channel. This one is for anybody. Anybody can have at it. Chiefs Prop Shop is free as well too. Blender's Game Theory, Grant's Action Lounge, which is currently free. At some point, that's going to turn premium, I believe. But you can hang out there. And, if you want to have any player props, Grant just drops all of his player props in there that he's betting, at least as of like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and he kind of jumps in and out as well. Check out the betting show from 2 to 3 o'clock. Well, it starts at 2. Who knows how long it goes to, depending on. But that's on the Scores and Odds channel. All right, Keith. Just want to get all the promos out there and let the people know where they can join the conversation and ask any questions as well, as far as pertaining to the slate or whatever's in their mind. Feel free to fire them off. We're going to be answering questions later on in the show. But Keith, what do you have for me as far as your general assessment of the slate before we dive in and break it down game by game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've got a couple of teams that are shorthanded, so we're seeing some nice value in Phoenix. They don't have Devin Booker. Chris Paul is out for a while. Cameron Johnson is out as well. So Cameron Payne did not get enough of a price bump. He's going to be pretty chalky everywhere. And then you've got Cleveland without Jarrett Allen. So you're looking at a pretty chalky Lauri Markkanen most likely, and some other guys in Cleveland there that might be a little bit underpriced. Then you've got the big old total, Brooklyn, Charlotte, that I think we're going to need some exposure to as well. Kevin Durant and Kyrie playing together on the other side of Charlotte, who has played really fast all season long. So just an outstanding game environment there. And all of those games start right when we kick off the slate. So definitely going to need some exposure to these early games. I think there's going to be some places to pivot that we can get into in the late games. If you're willing to take some stands in large field tournaments, there's plenty of spots to get different on the slate.
I just did a sort on lineup HQ, like, best dollar for dollar, point per dollar plays. And to your point, especially on DraftKings with campaign, like 5.3K, DK kind of asleep at the wheel there. He's just running the show in the absence of Chris Paul, in the absence of Booker. He's the best dollar for dollar play there. And the Suns, 3 of the top 5 guys are Suns. Landry Shamet, dollar for dollar play, and Jay Crowder as well too. So, and then one of the other ones is a Cavalier, like you kind of referenced in Markkanen. FanDuel, they did bump up Payne a little bit more, but still probably not enough. Well, a little more of a conversation, 6.6K. We currently have Looney, and Drummond is also a really strong dollar for dollar plays. And Klay Thompson, who's back tonight for Golden State at 5.5, too cheap. Your assessment here, Kirk Dees, as far as the slate, what's kind of popping out for you? What's worth to kind of touch on before we dive in and do the old game by game deal?
I mean, Keith nailed it. We got a massive value situation with the Suns guys. We've got a lot of value to be had with the Cavs because of Jared Allen gone, and then we've got a 240 point total, like he said, and we don't see that too often. And it's kind of an important game for at least for the Nets. Like every game is extremely important at this point. I mean, they're like flirting with not getting into the playoffs, and they're they only get so many games with Kyrie. I mean, this thing that both of these defensives have been bad, trending down, and and the pace, just the pace that the Hornets play, and Brooklyn's going to push it now with KD and Kyrie together. So, I mean, this game could be phenomenal. And then obviously that's going to lead to some lower owned spots for a 6-gamer that we should probably figure out some good ways to play.
Brooklyn, last 10, 3-7. They've lost 4 in a row. They're currently in the 9 spot. Like, they're not going to fall out of the play-in nonsense, but home court, not home court. And the other part of it is, like, do they want home court based upon what happens with Kyrie? And there's also rumblings that can change by the time the playoffs come around, that he's going to be able to play, and who knows. But yeah, they're currently in the 9 spot, and probably they're going to be somewhere in that mix. They're unlikely to go to 6, I don't think. I know Cleveland lost Allen, but they're like 5 games behind. In theory, I guess they could catch them, but probably not.
They could fall to 11, Dean.
Washington's not going to catch them.
I mean, I don't know if you watched Julius Randle last night. Oh,
come on. The Knicks.
He may take this Knicks team coming.
Knicks fans really need a reality check. Like, honestly, they talk about this team like they're a contender. It is so wild. Like, they're out of their minds. Bing bong, I mean, Keith, am I the only one that gets this? Like, the Knicks fans, like, they talk, oh my God, big game tonight. Do they know what world delusion are they living in to think that the Knicks have any shots of doing anything? It's ridiculous. But
yeah, I'm with you. I think they need a little bit of a reality check. They're not going very far.
Yeah. All right. Like one of our producer Steve's always he's always tweeting about the Knicks, and like I got to sit him down and say, listen, man, it's over. It's not happening. But all right. Hey, let's do it. Let's break it down game by game. First game, let's talk about that Brooklyn-Charlotte game. Big old total. You guys talked about 240. Pretty tight as well. Brooklyn is, despite the fact they've been rough of late, there are 4 or 5 point favorites here at Charlotte. They are going to be without LaMarcus Aldridge, LMA, which I think matters on FanDuel. We'll talk about that in a second because they have Drummond kind of priced down. Of course, Charlotte, pretty healthy. Hayward hasn't played for a while. We're not expecting Bouknight to go, and McDaniels is questionable last I saw, but don't think that matters so much. Curtis, I'll throw it to you. Start wherever you want to start in this game. But yeah, there's some premier plays. You know who's going to get it done on the Brooklyn side. They're just kind of expensive. I guess the question is how much you're prioritizing them. And, Durant versus Giannis is a conversation, right?
Yeah, it's a conversation, but Durant looked awfully damn good against my tough defense of the Celtics, even though they lost the game. He is underpriced, I'd say, on FanDuel. Is probably the top stud of the day over on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's a little bit more pricey, but I think it's great for tournaments. And then, Kyrie is the same thing. Kyrie on Yahoo, for instance, is extremely, priced extremely well, and Durant is like $52, so it's tough to get to him over there. But I mean, this is a game, like I said, this is a game with a 240 point total. We don't see that very often. It's supposed to be competitive. It may not be competitive, but you never know. But we should have exposure to both of these guys. I wouldn't play them together, obviously, but like, and then we've got some great pricing on the other side on LaMelo, right? So we've got a declining price in LaMelo. We've got a 240-point total, a game that should play at a blistering fast pace. It just screams him might get some good defensive matchups in this game at times. With the Nets defense is just atrocious. I mean, they're always going to have a weak link on the floor with whether it's Seth Curry or Kyrie or Patty Mills, who's just been in complete decline. But I mean, I like this game. I'm definitely trying to do KD and LaMelo wherever I can.
Yep, narrative street. Your boy Jason Tatum on his 19th birthday went nuts, right? Against wasn't that was the birthday game, I think, right? Against Brooklyn.
I think he turned 18.
It was an 18 or 19.
Yeah.
He's pretty sure he's still a teenager, according to Twitter. You know, the weird thing is like ownership is not really on this game that much on DK. You know, it's sort of, obviously the stuff is fluid and things can change and yada, yada. But the biggest number right now, Keith, on DK, we're looking at is Rozier at 16%, Durant at 16, Cody Martin just has a cheapy punt at 14%, Miles Bridges at 11, LaMelo. I mean, again, also LaMelo, like FanDuel price is much better than it is on DK. And part of the reason why I think is salary took a hit. He had like that 10-minute game where he either fouled out or played like he played like 10 minutes, he had like 5 or 6 fouls. It was ugly. Kyrie at 10%. So Keith, like there's some opportunity as a little game stack that's going to be, I don't want to say neglected. It's hard to hide in a 6-gamer, especially the first game with this big old number with a clear and obvious plays. But it is peculiar that like these guys are just not getting a ton of ownership.
It is, yes, definitely. I don't mind LaMelo. It feels like it's been a minute since we've seen a ceiling game out of him. This might be the spot that he gets back on track, but it's Terry Rozier who's the one that's been crushing here recently. So he's a little bit cheaper than LaMelo. I think that the ownership gap there is justified. I'll have plenty of Rozier as well. Miles Bridges, I think, could be interesting in tournaments. He's a guy that we've seen pop off for big games every once in a while as well. He's been doing a little bit more peripheral wise without Gordon Hayward. Just the pace of this game and the way Brooklyn plays defense, I think Bridges is a guy I want a little bit of exposure to. So I don't mind the ownership number on any of the 3 Charlotte guys. On the Brooklyn side, I'm interested in KD, of course. As far as Kyrie goes, I have interest, but I'm not going to get much over the field on him more than likely because we're going to talk about SGA, who has been just incredible without anybody else on his team. John Morant's on the slate. Just talked about LaMelo and Rozier. So there's just a lot of guards that I want to spend up for, and Kyrie is not as much of a priority for me as KD is.
Kirkies, if you're starting a lineup, I guess it depends on you're playing, obviously, in salaries and all that. But in general thought, would you start with Durant? Or would you start with Kyrie? I know you like Kyrie on Yahoo because $39 on Yahoo is a really good price. I have him as my second favorite shooting guard, dollar for dollar. I think Shamit's a little better, basically the minimum. But would you start with Durant or would you start with Kyrie?
I would definitely start with Durant. I mean, Durant has come out of the gates hot. He's putting this team on his back, and so this just seems like a fast-paced game. It just seems like he could just put up an amazing amount of fantasy points tonight. So he's if I'm playing GPPs, I'm trying to get these 2 guys in. I know Terry Rozier has been great too, and I do echo that sentiment. He's actually more expensive on FanDuel tonight as opposed to DraftKings. It's the other way around, like Keith said. But I just have a feeling that this is a LaMelo game, and so I'm looking for. And his price on Yahoo is cheap over there. He's down to $36 on Yahoo, so like he's a priority for me tonight.
I got him. I have my rankings pulled up. I have him as my second favorite Yahoo play, a dollar for dollar point guard. You know who the first favorite is, right? I assume you know who it is.
Cameron
considering
Payne.
Salary.
Payne.
Well, Cameron Payne.
Yeah, he's $20. That's just not enough. What do you think, Keith? What do you think of the fringe guys in this game? Well, no, this is the first. Okay, so on FanDuel, Drummond is kind of popping because he's 4.5K over there. But, of course, Drummond, his usage is going to be subdued by the fact that Kyrie and Durant, almost always one's going to be out there, both out there plenty too. I'm not even certain he closes this game. Yes, LMA is out, but like in theory, like Claxton just feels like a guy that like fits better versus Charlotte. energy guy versus energy guy, like, Harrell on the other side. I don't know, man. Like, it's a big number, 27% on FanDuel. Like, if you run optimals, Drummond's kind of like landing him in there, 26 fantasy points at 4.5K. I did a take on Drummond here. It's specific to FanDuel, I think. Other places, it's not as important, as far as I can tell. But Keith, what do you think of Drummond today?
I like the price. I agree with you, though, that I could see this game going small, and I'm having trouble with that almost 28% projected ownership. I think there are better places to find value. Phoenix and Cleveland are two that we've mentioned already. He's fine if you want to play him, but I don't love the ownership number on him. I think that there are paths for him to not pay off even that FanDuel price.
He's our consensus number one center. Again, dollar for dollar, this is FanDuel specific, which, yeah, I don't know, man. I get it, but I think I want to be under that. I don't see him like smashing. Yeah. We've seen him smash, but like not when Durant and Kyrie are playing. LMA out does help in theory, but you have a thought on that, Kirk Dees, as far as Drummond's?
Yeah, I do. I think you play him on FanDuel. So there's a lot of ways it can go. Yeah, it would make sense that maybe this game can go smaller, and maybe they could put like PJ Washington at the 5. The problem is that they use they use Plumlee a lot. Like they seem to keep, like we thought his minutes were declining and he was kind of fading out, and it was Montrezl Harrell was kind of picking up a bunch of minutes, but now we've seen that kind of reverse a little bit. But regardless, they play both of those guys a decent amount of minutes each game. So they're also the Hornets are the second to worst rebounding team in the league. So that should fit a guy like Drummond, and Drummond can kind of play in these fast-paced games. He's terrible right now, granted, but he can run the floor. I mean, we've seen point Drummond before. Have you seen like when have you ever?
We're not going to see that with Kyrie out there, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Like he has the skill in theory is in his bag.
No, he tries to run the floor one time. It was so funny, and
he thinks he's a point guard sometimes. Yeah, yes,
and it failed miserably. It was hilarious. And then remember when he would shoot a couple threes every now and then? Those were the days. Like we had that one off season where like Drummond is working on his 3, and he's going to be a 3-and-D guy. Anyways, I think it's 4,500 against the worst rebounding team in the league. 240 point total. Aldridge is out. Blake Griffin gets no minutes. It's like, I just think that, he's going to be a fine play, and he definitely has upside. He throw some blocks in there, some steals, and, he can be on his way on FanDuel. I think on DraftKings, it's a different story.
Yeah. I don't think I'm playing him on DraftKings. The other part of it is that centers is not very strong today. Like the two co-MVPs, whatever you want to call it, Embiid and Jokic are not playing tonight. Our biggest projection amongst all centers tonight on FanDuel is Mobley, then Wendell Carter, Ayton, Valanciunas. It's not like loaded as it can be. So there's not this massive opportunity cost to maybe kind of get in cheap and sort of move on, and hopefully it doesn't kill you, that kind of thing. But just I thought it was an interesting thought, FanDuel specific. Curtis, who do you have as your favorite Hornet? Like it could be Bridges, it could be Ball, it could be Rozier. I think my favorite would be Ball tonight.
Yeah, mine is LaMelo. So just from even a DVP standpoint, this is like the 4th best matchup for a point guard. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of leaks on the defensive end for Brooklyn, and I think he's going to be a guy that can exploit them in all different ways. There's always like the potential that he guards Kyrie and gets in some foul trouble. We were talking about that a little bit in Discord today. Meansy was in there. We both remembered a game where what really irritates me the most in NBA is when these guys take fouls. There's nothing worse than a take foul. You do a turnover, you screw up, right? And so they go and try to get the steal back, and they just do a take foul. And it's there was one game where LaMelo did that. He missed a dunk. Like he tried to showboat a dunk, and he grabbed his 3rd foul right after it because he missed the dunk when he was all alone. A complete fast break. It was like that. That's in the realm of possibility, the range of outcomes here tonight, as always, and that's why his prices come down, because he hasn't been the most consistent fantasy player, especially lately. But I think this is a monster spot for him tonight. So that's he's like my flag plant tonight.
I hate to take foul like as is as like a general thing, and I'm pretty sure in Europe there's like a penalty for that. You got free throws or something like that. Like you can't do it. They're talking about getting rid of it in the NBA, which they, we'll see. Hopefully that happens. But Jokic used to do it all the time. He would do a take foul, and then he would get his third foul like a minute later. He's on the. It's like, well, you only have 6 of these. Don't throw them away. Or like when guys like clearly foul, like what's going to be a bucket, a guy that shoots 80% free throws, like what are you gaining? Like 0.3 points for? Is that worth the value of like your third foul? Like what do you just let the guy have the 2 points? I know, like old school, like Detroit.
Yeah, it's it's 2 points, and like these guys always end up in foul trouble, and then like most of the NBA coaches don't let them play. It's so ridiculous.
It's not worth.
We need to ban the take foul. We need to lobby for this and ban the take foul.
Some coaches have come around on it. Like Nash has come. They'll let the guys play with 3 in the first half, but yeah, I don't think it doesn't happen nearly as much in Charlotte, unfortunately. What grinds your gears, Keith? Does this also grind your gears when you're watching the games? And like, it would drive me nuts when Jokic would do it.
I'm not as passionate about it as you two, but yeah, I think it needs to go away. It slows the game down. I mean, we're all looking for a fast-paced, high-scoring NBA, and it definitely impacts that. So I would prefer it go away as well.
These are the kind of things we can get into, like little events when you have a 6-game slate, I suppose, and kind of an extended show. Final thoughts here, Keith, as far as this game. Did you give your favorite player in the Hornets?
I did not. I'll go ahead, since you're looking for something a little different. I'll ride the hot hand of Terry Rozier. Give me Terry as my favorite Hornet.
You can give me your answer. If your answer is, you don't have to go off the board.
No, I don't think it's off the board at all. The
Yeah.
guys have been playing great. LaMelo has been struggling a little bit, and I think that riding with Terry will be a little bit different. We'll see where the ownership shakes out, but I think people just prefer to play LaMelo over Terry, so I'll stick with Terry tonight.
Yeah. Rozier kind of I feel like he had like a reputation of a guy like just kind of scores, but he's kind of gone away from that. Like he's getting the assists have been up, the rebounds have been fine too. So like, yeah, the upside certainly, he used to be a guy that would score 27, he'd put up 35 fantasy points. And I feel like he's gone beyond that. All right. Let's talk about Phoenix and Orlando, a really popular game on the Phoenix side. 221.5 is the total. Phoenix is a 7-point favorite. Of course, for Phoenix, they're going to be without, Cam Johnson is a big deal not playing. Add that one to the list. Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Like Cam Johnson wasn't starting necessarily, but he put up like 35, 40 points, whatever it was. Big usage guy. Phoenix's depth being put to the test. Of course, Orlando's a nice matchup. We talked about campaign, how, he was playing in bursts when he came back. He wasn't playing in a month or so, whatever it was, 5 or 6 minutes, 6-minute bursts. Now he's up to 35, 36 minutes versus Orlando. All the usage in the world to be had. Keith, like DK, I really have a hard time not playing him. FanDuel, at least a conversation, right? What do you think of campaign?
Yeah, he's a lock button play on DK for me. 5.3 is far too cheap. You mentioned 35 minutes, and he's been performing as well. 19 shots in the last game. So he's shooting it. He's getting the assists. Just a phenomenal play. Lock button type for me. I think I'd be overweight on FanDuel too. And we're projecting it for 60% ownership on FanDuel. I guess he's a lock button on FanDuel for me as well.
Yeah. I'm pulling up the DK ownership right now. It's 69%. Wow. And that might be, I think that's about right. And it might be, if anything, I would take over 69%. And the single entry, 3-entry max contest, it's way over that, like without question. In cash, it's like 98%. Anybody that doesn't play him in cash tonight, like star that person if you ever see them in the lobby. Kirk, do you have anything else to add as far as campaign? Like it's, you gotta, how do you not play this guy in DraftKings?
You know what that reminded me of actually?
What's that?
After the first night I played hockey for our first week and of All-Star break, I got like 15 different requests to
You're a donkey when it comes to the hockey.
I finished like dead last and everything, and all of a sudden my notifications, so I had to turn off my notifications. Anyways, though, there's Campaign is an awesome play. I mean, he's clear. It's amazing how good he's become for this
Yeah.
team. Cause we thought that back when he was on the Bulls and whatnot, like it was just, being with Chris Paul has certainly helped him. And he's been a clear, like important piece of this team regardless. So with Booker and Campaign out, he's just really stepped up. We had the minutes limit for the first game and that went away in two, close game. So they gave him 32 in the next one in a close game that they eked out the win against the Knicks. And then in a big game against Milwaukee, he got 36 minutes. So I think it's safe to say that there's no minutes limit anymore. And so he's just simply underpriced, even where he looks overpriced on FanDuel, as you said, he's still underpriced. Means he did a great job in the in his article today, kind of laying out all the groundwork for it. But I unless he gets in foul trouble or something, they just don't really have any other guard options that they're comfortable with. I mean, Aaron Holiday's there, but like he's not very good regardless, he only got 15 minutes, 18 minutes. So foul trouble could be an issue or something like that, but that's that's like the only knock I could say against him.
Yeah, I mean, Elf Payton is there, but like he's not even in the rotation.
Yeah.
It's a revenge game for Elf, right? Maybe he'll get some blowout time. We'll see. What about Payne's teammates? Again, really condensed rotation. As far as our minute projection, 35 for Payne, 34 for Landry Shamet on DK. He's 3.7K, 27% ownership. We've seen Jay Crowder kind of play better of late, and of course he's going to be asked to be playing some more minutes. Bridges we have projected for 38 minutes. The only argument I would say against all these minutes is that like Phoenix is up by 8 games in the Western Conference, which is amazing. Like good for them. So like I don't know how much they have to push these guys necessarily, but maybe they're not looking at the finish line just yet, but they should all be in the mid 30s or so. Ayton's been kind of up and down, Kirkies. I know Means you talked about him as well too, and good price on DK. I don't know what to do with Ayton. I don't really know how to. He just from game to game, it just looks like a different guy sometimes.
So I have a thought. I thought, Meansy nailed it again with him. So, and I was like kind of shocked by it because, Meansy's typically a cash game core player. And so it's hard for him to kind of step outside of like when the player doesn't project as well, like he was going on like and today for DeAndre Ayton. So, and he was saying that he's higher on him than the projections. And I think that's exactly, I'm in the exact same boat. Like it's not rocket science. Like this guy's, he's he's had some struggles here as he's like worked his way back into game shape and everything like that. But, he looked great in an important game in the last one against Milwaukee. He had a tough time against Mitchell Robinson. Most players do against Mitchell Robinson if he doesn't go and get into foul trouble. It's Booker's out, Chris Paul's out. Like it just makes a lot of sense as like a pick and roll with Campaign and DeAndre Ayton. And the other guys are going to do their thing. The thing about the Suns, the reason the value, it's not like Mikal Bridges is the highest usage guy, although he's certainly has been more of an offensive player this season. He's more of a 3-and-D guy, but like, it's just like the minutes, like they got a condensed rotation. A bunch of these, Cam Johnson is now out. So like, what's the minute projection on Mikal Bridges too, as
38.
well? And yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I
which is accurate.
I set him at 39 in today. So, and then you got Jay Crowder, who's going to have less of the upsides on minutes, but he's been playing extremely well. If you want to look at like a nice game log, like if that's your thing, his game, it's been pretty damn consistent for a while now, his role with the Suns. And so these guys are all really, really strong plays today. I don't know. You guys can sell me on Landry Shamet.
He's cheap is the sales pitch. On DK is 3.7K. So I just ran 150 optimal lineups as of our projections so many minutes ago. And 3 Suns, and I said a cap. I said I don't want any more than 65% of anybody, right? And Crowder, Shamet, and Payne, all 3 of those guys hit my cap. Ayton at 24%, Bridges at 8 for what it's worth. But you talk about Ayton's projection might be a little bit soft. What do you think here, Keith? As far as the Suns, is 3? Can I run out 3 Suns tonight in tournaments?
Yes, I think you definitely can because they're all a little bit underpriced. This is not a spot I'm going to disagree with anybody. I think the Suns are excellent chalk here today. Ayton, we saw just absolutely crush in that last game. The Suns, when Paul and Booker are in there, are more of a perimeter team, but without those two guys, they're running the offense through Ayton in the post. 19 shots in his last game. Orlando plays big. They have Bamba and Carter on the other side there. Bamba is not a great defender outside of his blocks. So I think this is just an absolute smash spot for Ayton. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate. And then the other guys Kirkwood mentioned are just, they're too cheap and they're going to be out there for 35 minutes. So how do you not play them? Shamet 3,700 on DK. How does he not pay off 3,700 in 30 plus minutes on FanDuel? You can.
What are you shooting for?
I mean, I don't think like 10x is out of the range. That's what you're looking for in tournaments, obviously. I think if you get 24 points out of him, he's not going to kill you. He's not going to help you win anything with that.
Yeah.
But he's cheap enough where he doesn't even have to have a great game, and he can get to a point where he doesn't kill you.
Yeah, I mean, not a big usage guy on the year. I pulled up the biggest usage guy that's playing tonight is Campaign at 25%. For Phoenix, Ayton at 21%. Of course, this stuff changed and you kick guys off the court. I ran the court IQ, Chris Paul off the court, Booker off the court, Cam Johnson off the court. I probably shouldn't have kicked off Cam Johnson because my sample's not huge, but 105 minutes per Campaign, 26.6% usage, 1.1 FanDuel points per minute, Ayton at 26.3% as far as his usage. And that's a jump of 3.3%. Crowder jumps up 4.1%, all the way up to 20.2 because Crowder is a 14% usage guy on the season. He's the classic 3-and-D, obviously. Well, what are your thoughts on those guys? Like Crowder, and again, he's probably better FanDuel. I'm guessing he's better FanDuel playing. Let's see. Yeah, 0.82 points per minute on FanDuel, 0.81 on DK. And I would assume that Bridges is Bridges 0.75 on FanDuel, 0.74 on DK with those stocks. Well, what are your thoughts on those guys, Keith? And like Bridges, we're going to get the minutes, and especially in the right night on FanDuel, when you get those 7 stocks, you need them.
Yeah, Crowder is the guy on DraftKings, especially that I would be comfortable being underweight on. We haven't projected for about 26% ownership. He's 5,100, so he's not in that price range with Shamet where he's like, I mean, he's still underpriced, don't get me wrong, but he needs to do more to pay off 5,100 than Shamet does to pay off 3,700, obviously. So I wouldn't mind an underweight stance on Crowder. The ownership number on Bridges on DraftKings, I mean, he's only at 12% because his price is up to 6,200. I like getting overweight on that. So I would probably reverse the ownership or my exposures to Crowder and Bridges and just play less Crowder, more Bridges.
What's your plan of attack tonight? You playing DraftKings? You playing FanDuel? You playing a bunch of lineups? What's the story?
Yeah, mostly DraftKings. I'll be doing the 20 entry max and then throwing 10 to 20 lineups into the big lottery tournament. So probably 30 lineups total.
The Magic are playing too. We should acknowledge that. We haven't talked about the Magic just yet. They are going to be, we're expecting Wendell Carter back from his illness. Fultz expected to play tonight and sit tomorrow night. Suggs is questionable with his ankle. He did not practice. My brain tells me like maybe
I think we saw him ruled out. Is that correct?
I was gonna sound so
Suggs
smart.
is out. Suggs is out.
I was gonna say he's not gonna play tonight because he's gonna play tomorrow because Fultz isn't playing tomorrow. And there you go. There is Suggs not playing. How much do we care about that, Kirk Dees? Because Anthony's gonna have to run the show mostly. Fultz, I guess he's still on his minutes limit. Do we have anything beyond? He's still at like his 15 to 20 or something like that, I imagine.
Yeah, and I think they said that. I think they announced something to that effect. But yeah, it helps a guy like Cole Anthony significantly. I think because it just with the minutes upside, right? Like they were eating in. If you have Suggs there, it's just a natural way to take some minutes away from Cole Anthony. So I think Cole Anthony is a great run back now. And then I'll let you guys talk about RJ Hampton. He's just so bad. But so this is a great game environment too. Like we were saying, just to go back to quickly on the Suns, like a lot of the their best attributes line up really well in this game. So like Ayton, first off, he's their best scorer, right? So like, don't feel bad about like bumping up Ayton, like we said in this game, because he's their best offensive scorer. He's extremely an offensive player, skilled on the offensive end. Also, the Magic are a pretty poor defense, 21st defensive rating. They're playing much faster. They're now top 10 in pace. They give up. They're 22nd in opponent made threes. They're 27th in opponent blocks. They're 24th in opponent steals. So it's like there's stocks everywhere, like, right? Like, so it just fits like all the guys. So like, I think this is all great chalk. So, and then obviously if that's the case, we're going to want some bringbacks here on the other side. And Cole Anthony makes the most sense. I can get behind a little Franz Wagner. I can get behind Wendell Carter Jr. I can't play Mo Bamba anymore. I probably will, but man, it's just such a crazy ride. He does so many stupid things on the court, and then it's like I can't get this guy right either for the life of me. So I'll let you guys break down Mo Bamba for me.
You mentioned Hampton, by the way. So we have Suggs projected for 30 minutes. This is going to refresh, obviously, and kick him off. Hampton at 17. You think Hampton gets up to like 25, 30 possibly? And is that interesting enough for you, Keith, if that's true?
I think he's in play for sure. I don't know that I have a ton of interest in him. Like,
yeah,
you talk about Shamet or Hampton. I mean, it's Shamet every time for me in that one.
Sure. By the way, you mentioned Cole Anthony, Kirk Dees. What's a better nickname? Mikal Bridges, Mikal Jail, getting locked up by Mikal Bridges, or the Dorture Chamber, Lou Dort? Better nickname amongst those two. They're both really good.
The Dorture Chamber is better from a name standpoint.
I agree. I spent some time in Oklahoma City, so I'm partial to the Dorture Chamber.
I like them both. I don't know who came up with them, but I just kind of hear them out there like, oh, Mikal Jail. I like that. And I guess is that why you might like Wagner a little bit, Curtis? Because maybe Cole Anthony gets tied up a little bit there, and he has to rely on somebody like Wagner to step up.
Yeah, but it's like really just as simple as I want to score. And if Cole Anthony's not, if he does get locked up, Cole Anthony's a scorer too. So like, I'm really not that scared. I think he'll be fine. Obviously it's a tougher matchup for him, but so like Wagner is a guy that you can play instead of him. You could play Wendell Carter too. And the one that I kind of like the most, like more of a sneakier, and he's really not that sneaky, but I think he's going to get no ownership tonight, is Chuma Okeke. I just like his game in general. And, especially with some of the bench unit on Phoenix on the other side, like this could be a really good game for him, I think. And, with Cole locked in Mikal Jail, as you say, so those are the guys that I'm kind of thinking of here. But so for me, it's going to be Cole, Wagner, or Okeke.
All those guys are in play, like as we have to say, but none are priorities is where I'm at. What do you think?
Yeah, no doubt. But you want some runbacks, right? Like Keith's going to be mass entering tonight or 30 lineups, or he's going to be playing a lot of lineups. He's going to want some runbacks, right?
Yes, definitely. And I love your Okeke call too. I was just looking at him. He's been pretty good here recently. The price tags come up a little bit, but this isn't the same Phoenix defense either without Paul. And Booker's even improved on the defensive end. So I know Phoenix is rated really well on the defensive end, but I think Orlando has a decent chance to keep this game close. So I will definitely have Cole Anthony. I like your Okeke call, and Wendell Carter is the other one I'm looking at.
Did we get Hampton officially starting? Because I'm seeing, it looks like according to our lineups page, it turns like the color white when like it's official. Is he officially starting?
He is officially starting.
He's starting, and Okeke's coming off the bench, but like it's going to make Okeke so low owned tonight.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
I agree with
Anthony...
that. I do think Hampton is a little bit more in play now. I think we have him projected for 30 minutes now. That feels pretty secure with him in the starting lineup. So that does bump him up for me.
Yeah, 30 minutes for Hampton, Bamba for 26, Okeke for 26. Okeke not starting, right? Yeah. So it's Anthony, Hampton, Wagner, Carter, and Bamba. Final word. Anything else in this game for us, Keith, before you move on?
I don't have anything else. I'm going to have a ton of exposure to this one. Phoenix is excellent chalk, and I'm going to run it back with some Magic guys as well.
Cleveland, Indiana, 224 is the total. Cleveland is a 3-point favorite here. Of course, we know Jared Allen is out with his, I think it's a finger. So he's not going to be playing basketball. Rondo's questionable, doesn't really matter so much. LeVert is out with his foot. Indiana is Duarte and Stevenson. They both still questionable. I've not seen the update. They're both in. There we go. All right. So, Kirkies, how much does a guy like Evan Mobley get bumped up? I like his DK price more than his FanDuel price. Just, it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more appealing for me. What are you thinking here as far as Jared Allen being out, how that affects the rest of the team? And we know Indiana, especially since they lost Miles Turner, they're just getting ravaged on the inside. They have no way they can stop anybody. Just horrific defensively. What are your thoughts as far as the Cavs? Who's jumping out for you?
So like you said, so they're 28th in defensive rating over the last 15 games. On the season, they're 26th. They're a horrendous defensive team. We're always going to want players against the lineups that they roll out now. The thing is, they get a little bit better with Malcolm Brogdon against the guard spots, but that does not do anything to the bigs, right? Their bigs are still horrendous defenders. So this is like an obvious Mobley spotlight. And yeah, he's coming off of a monster game too against Toronto. So like he's struggled lately, but like certainly he's going to have all the opportunity in the world. And this is like as cupcake as a matchup gets for him. So this is the spot, and he's going to be chalky. So you're going to have to make a decision on whether you go over or under. I'll let Keith speak to that more, because tonight I'm just kind of soloing my YOLO lineup on Yahoo.
Are you leaning in or leaning out in your one lineup?
Oh, he's a lock. He's an absolute lock for me. So there's no way I'm getting off him. And then we can talk about Kevin Love, right? Like, who just saw 30 minutes now, 26 minutes in the game before, but with Allen out, like it's nice to see that he played 30 minutes, and he's a good fantasy point per minute player when he's there. He kind of leads the team when they need it, right? And it like all kind of flows through him. So in a cupcake matchup again. So there's a lot of good plays here. Unlike FanDuel, Darius Garland is just priced too cheap over there. He's tough to get to on DraftKings tonight, but certainly in play. And I don't think we need Jetty Osman tonight, but I don't really mind.
Do you expect he starts, or you just not care if he does?
I don't really. It's like either he's going to play. I mean, I do. It would be better if he starts, for sure, because at least you get more minutes upside. Because if he's coming off the bench, he might do better if he comes off the bench, but his minutes may not be up there. But like with him, it's like either he's terrible or he's good. It's like he can be. I don't really have an answer for him. I mean, I think he's a fine play. But not someone that I think I need.
Mobley coming off a big usage game, not a big usage guy in the season, around 20% or so. Big for him, 24.71% last game versus Toronto. They should be leaning on a little bit more, like you said. And also, this seems like a good matchup. 8.1K on FanDuel, sure, but 7K on DK, that's better. What do you have here, Keith, as far as Cleveland and Love? Like, you never really know with those minutes. They can be a little bit fickle, probably coming off the bench, but elite when it comes to fantasy points per minute, especially on DK, 1.27, 1.19 in FanDuel ain't too shabby either. But yeah, your thoughts as far as the Cavs?
Yeah, Mobley is underpriced, especially on DK. I think he's a phenomenal play. He's the one that I feel best about. I will be overweight even if he's around 25%. I think just too cheap on DraftKings, especially. The other two, I think I'd be perfectly fine being underweight on. Markkanen, especially for me. If he's going to catch 25% ownership, I might fade him completely. Kevin Love, I think his usage coming off the bench is really strong, and if he gets the minutes, he can pop off for a big fantasy score. So I will have some love. I don't love that ownership number on him. I doubt that I'll be over the field on it, but I don't mind being in that 25% range on Kevin Love. I do like Garland a good amount. I just don't know how much room I'm going to have for him in my build, because we've talked about some of the other guards. I'm probably going to end up making a decision between him and Kyrie on which one I want more of. Osman, I'm fine not having any of him. I don't think if he's in the Kirkwood made a really good point. If he's in the starting lineup, his usage is going to be pretty low here. And I don't have hardly any interest. I think I would actually have more interest if he was not in the starting lineup. That would lower that. Go ahead.
No, that's correct. Like they may need him for like backup point guard. If like,
Exactly.
do we have Rondo? Do we have Rondo out yet?
Questionable last we saw.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
mean, it'll hinge on Rondo most likely.
Yep, that's a great point, and that's exactly what I was getting to. Is that when he runs the point, that's where he runs into the big games. So if he's in that starting lineup next to Garland, I don't have a ton of interest in him. But if he's not starting, I think that ownership number comes down, and I would have more interest in him at that point.
Keith, the other side of this game, Indiana, like Brogdon, it's a wild ride this year. Like Indiana going nowhere. He's left multiple games due to injury, and he's still playing 35, 40 minutes in games that just don't matter. He played 41 in an overtime game 3 games ago, or 2 games, whatever it is, then 36 and 35. I guess he's supposed to play 34, 35, 36 minutes. Supposedly the coaches asked him multiple times, like, you feel okay? You feel okay? And like the player almost always like is going to give it a go, right? And he was absolutely smashing in that game, for the record, against Orlando. He crushed them, almost triple dubbed. So like, I guess Brogdon's going to play 75, 35 minutes or so versus Cleveland. And if that's the case, he looks like the most interesting piece on the Indiana side for me.
He's in play, but I've talked about the guard situation. Like if I'm locking in Cameron Payne, that's one of my spots in every lineup. I've only got 2 left. So I'm going to have to be underweight on some of these other guards. This is not the slate for Brogdon for me. I think the price is perfectly fine. The matchup against Cleveland appears tough, but Cleveland has fallen off on defense a little bit here recently. He's perfectly in play. I wouldn't tell you not to play him. I just don't think I'll have him today.
I don't think we have much ownership at all on the Indiana side. Yeah, DK, Buddy Hield is the biggest number at 8%. I mean, 7.3K. That's, I mean, whatever. I'm probably not going to have that. Of course, you catch him on the right game, you can hit a 7 or 8 threes. Brogdon at 7%, Halliburton at 7%. Halliburton, of course, love him, but he, his price is not adjusted to Brogdon back in his life enough for me to play Halliburton. Would you agree with that, Keith?
He was actually been surprisingly strong with Brogdon in there.
Yeah.
But at that price tag, it's going to be really difficult for him to find a ceiling that pays off that price tag. So I agree. I'd like to see him about 500 cheaper, and then I'd have interest.
Curtis, can you sell me on a pacer?
Brogdon would be the guy. I mean, it doesn't make like, you would think they would limit him. Like, I get this, right? And you would think it would be like more like Tyrese Halliburton, right? Like, and Buddy, the new toys that they have to kind of like go out strong. But I think you just look at the last 2 games and where they're trending. So not only, I mean, minutes after the OT game, he still got over 35 minutes in each of the game. We're pushed about 30% usage in each of the last 2 games. The Cavs are an above average matchup for point guards. They're not the greatest matchup, but they're above average, and they're second to last in opponent steals per game. And Brogdon is a guy who can play some good D and get out steals and get some breaks going. And so he's the pacer I like the most. I could get behind some of these, maybe like a Jalen Smith or somebody, but it's I don't know.
Their front court's kind of a mess, but it's they're good like fantasy players and they get run, but you never really know how many minutes Jackson's going to get or Smith. Bataze is available tonight for what it's worth. I have a hard time figuring it out, but like you can if you catch him on the right night. I think is it Jackson who's like super handsy. He seems to always be in foul trouble. Yeah, but he's been good fantasy points per minute when given some run.
Yeah, the problem with it tonight though is, I mean, you have Jay Crowder who's going to play 35 minutes at the same price. So like,
yeah, they're not strong plays. Yeah.
Isaiah Jackson in the season, 1.34 FanDuel points per minute. That's awesome. It's really, really good. 1.25 on DK is pretty solid too, but just I think he's an interesting tournament guy. Kind of sprinkle in 5-1 on DK, 5-5 on FanDuel. Let's move on. Next game is the first half of the national TV doubleheader. We got Ja national TV. The Grizzlies at home versus New Orleans. 229.5 is the total. This is the front half of a back-to-back for New Orleans, I believe. We got out of nowhere, Brandon Ingram has a hamstring, I believe they gave him, so he's questionable tonight. As far as Memphis, I believe they're just like healthy, right? Is Memphis missing anybody? Dylan Brooks, like that's been the case for like a month or so now. Kirky's I'm guessing that Ingram doesn't play. I don't know, but if he doesn't, I think McCollum was really interesting, even though he's pretty expensive, but he's going to get all the usage in the world.
Correct. See it the exact same way. Like, even if he doesn't project insanely well, I would still like, because 9,100 is a tough price tag on DraftKings, but I think he'll be worth it if Ingram's out. So that's someone to certainly to keep monitoring this news for. I bet some Pelicans futures like a fish when they announced that Zion may be coming back. Did you see when they said that? Did you see that?
I would bet under a half a game that Zion plays in his career for New Orleans going forward. But I mean, maybe I saw a picture of Zion with dogs. He brought his dogs like in a convenience store. Did you guys see this picture?
I did see it floating around Twitter. Yeah.
He has some awesome dogs.
Yep.
You're allowed to just bring these massive dogs into like the 7-Eleven or whatever, like whatever, cool. But hey, yeah, that's what stood out to me. But yeah, well, what did you get, Kirkies? What did you bet?
300 to 1 to win the whole thing, and like 100 and something to 1 to come out of the West.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And I'm also driving tonight to bet some Celtics futures. So out of the East.
They're like the 5th best team in the East because the East is loaded.
I think they're really I don't know how much you've watched them recently, but they are playing like as a real team, like finally, and they're looking really good. And Derek White fits in really well. And I mean, Brooklyn was going all out. Brooklyn is like the most overvalued future, that there is.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I could see that. Philly, I think is really good now. I think Harden is a great fit. I thought they won that trade immediately, because I don't you're banking on like this guy who's not playing because someone said he didn't shoot the ball in a playoff game, take a layup, and like he can't deal with the fans and has mental health issues, right? And Kyrie, and Kyrie comes and just kills teams, and this isn't the same Kyrie. This is Kyrie who's now going around the stadiums with sage, before this dude is tapped, right? And people are thinking that they're just going to magically come together and turn it on. I don't see it that way. So I'm looking for value. I think the Heat are value, and I think the Celtics are value. Those are two teams. Obviously the Bucks are a powerhouse, but I think they're worth the price on the Heat. And
what's the price? What's Boston?
Boston's they're 22 to win it all, 22 to 1. And then I thought they were here, I'll pull it up. But
I would just take them to win the whole thing, because if anything, you can hedge out of it. And
you can hedge out of it.
The Eastern Conference Final, the East is loaded as far as I can tell. And they're probably facing Milwaukee, or maybe in the second round. I don't know. The problem is two things can be true. Boston looks great, and they could also be the 4th best team in the East. I think they're behind Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Miami, but they're good.
The Celtics, they've come down to 8.5 to get out of the East, but they're 22 to win it all.
Well, yeah. How about this New Orleans game? Hey, do you have a thought, Keith, as far as who's coming out of the East? Do you like Boston?
I grew up near Chicago, and I didn't hear the Bulls mentioned one time. They get Ball and Caruso. I don't know. They get Ball and Caruso back. I think it's a pretty complete team. Now, whether they can find the chemistry before the playoffs is interesting. But Philly looks really good with the way Harden and Embiid are playing together. So if I had to choose one, I'd go with Philly right now.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Chicago, it's loaded, and and they've kind of overachieved this year. And they have the strongest strength of schedule left, I guess. They had kind of an easier schedule earlier in the year, but I just think I don't know. I just think that they're not as good as they're good. They're just not as good.
A lot of people think that. I think that they haven't played healthy together all season, and they've still performed really well. So I'd like to see what they look like.
Maybe it's the same people wrong about the Bulls in general.
We'll have to see.
What do you think in New Orleans tonight, DFS wise?
I'm watching Brandon Ingram closely, because if he sits, I'm gonna want some McCollum. he's been awesome since he came over to New Orleans. The usage has been way up there. He's been scoring a ton of points. So 9,100 is a tough ask, but if Ingram is out of there, I think he's going to shoot it 20 to 25 times tonight. Just on the other side of Ja Morant as well. These are two of the guards that I'm looking at heavily with the guy in the next game as well. But I love both of these two as spend ups. McCollum is somebody I'm going to be well over the field on if Ingram is out.
I just ran a court IQ. I took Ingram off and McCollum on just to make it easier. 112 minutes without Ingram. You know, obviously he's only been with the team for so long. 32.3% usage, 1.35 FanDuel points per minute, 1.46 DK points per minute.
Big numbers
for McCollum. Again, the sample's not huge, but like the usage 32.3% makes a ton of sense. And you know, you look at the rest of that New Orleans team, and like, yeah, it checks out, you know, with like a Herb Jones type, and like Tony Snell is lurking if he gets some run, like whoever they'll throw it out there. Yeah. What about Memphis? What are your thoughts as far as the Grizzlies fully healthy, with the exception of Brooks? ESPN game. I don't know if you want to get up for that. And like, you know, Ja, we know how the highlights, who knows what he's going to bust out for us tonight. But what do you think of the Grizzlies?
It's pretty much just going to be Ja Morant for me. Just trying to find that ceiling game. He's projected under 10% owned on a 6-game slate. I'm going to definitely find a way to get over that.
Curtis?
Shout out to my boy Grant for this one. He's coming through with a Desmond Bain pick, I'm sure. Did he put the Desmond Bain props today at the 2:00 show? Did he?
I was on the show.
I didn't see it, but I just imagine he's like, Desmond Bain, you got to go over. You got to go.
Well, since you asked, like I was on the show today with him, we were talking about it, and he was like, he's like, I haven't been playing Bain as much of late, but like 17.5, I feel like I kind of sort of just have to bet it. And I told him he was contractually obligated, and he bet Bain over. So there you go. So,
yeah. And I mean, and Bain's playing better. Like he went through his cold streak, and he's coming back now. He's, he chucked 22 shots in his last game, hit 4-9 from threes. This is a plus matchup against the Pelicans from the 3-point line. They're pretty bad. They're 20th in opponent made threes. I mean, this is a pretty good game to target. 230.5 point total. Like on another night, we'd be all over this game. It's tough with Memphis's rotation, but I think Bain is the clear number 2 play behind Ja. So I can definitely get behind that. And then, I trying to figure out if Ingram's out, like, so what do we like? There's got to be, obviously we like CJ, but there's got to be some more fringe plays. Like Herb Jones isn't going to score. He's going to be locking up. He'll be trying to lock up Ja. I kind of think like Jackson Hayes could come out of the woodworks in this one, especially with like, if they start him and, which they probably will because of Jaren Jackson Jr. And, Adams will be going with J-Val. They'll be all over each other, just clogging in the paint. Like it could be a game for him to kind of get loose in this one a little bit. So he's kind of just somebody I'm thinking of that I don't think is going to get much love tonight.
We have an if then. I just pulled it up here. If Ingram is out, McCollum would get bumped up to 48.9 DK points, 46.7 FanDuel. Slight bump for Valanciunas. Let's see. What's that? Devontae would get to 23.43 DK, 22 FanDuel. What is his price? Is he kind of worked his way down?
if he's out, if Ingram's out, give me Devontae Graham over Landry Shamet and RJ Hampton all day.
Yeah, 3,700 on DK is pretty attractive with no.
I didn't realize he was in the threes. Yeah, I like that for sure. He still might be the 6th.
Yeah,
he start.
He might bust, right? Like obviously, but like there's like massive upside there.
Who do you guys think starts? Because they might start like a Tony Snell, just because you never know. And does it matter?
Would you stop saying Tony Snell, please?
We smashed the over. The over under on Tony Snell mentions was 2.5, and pay paper, man. And we said it 3 times. I made a bet with somebody off air. I got some inside sources.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize Graham was all the way down to 3.7. Like obviously he's the big loser in the McCollum trade.
Game's a half an hour. If that Ingram news comes late, I don't know. It just seems like a really good GPP spot for me to go off of Shamet and Hampton and get ready.
He's
for
like a
little
glorified
Devontae.
Ross right now. And nobody's getting any ownership in this game. Like as a general, as far as to the slate, nobody higher than 12% on DK. Ingram at 12. Of course, we don't know if he's playing or not. Bain at 11. Adams at 9. Who's had some, pretty big games of late, up and down. Herb Jones is the biggest ownership guy in FanDuel, really, at 16%, 15%.
Stocks.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitive 3D.
He's busted out for some offensive games. It's rare when you get him, but like he kind of has it in him.
Well, his big one was when nobody else was playing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think Jackson Hayes would be the guy. I like that call from Kirkwood. We've seen him just randomly go nuts when given a little bit of opportunity.
Not Tony Snell?
No, I don't think Tony Snell would be just not quite going to get the usage I'm looking for to win a tournament.
All right,
This is like the night Tony Snell goes off now. This is like the Dean reverse mush.
There was a game where I mushed him and he absolutely crushed, like earlier this year. If you pull up his game log, his best game was the one where I was making fun of him, I'm pretty sure. He put up like a 30 burger or something like that, which is a lot for Tony Snell. I'm pretty sure it happened. Maybe it was mid-20s, whatever it was off the charts for Tony. All right, 2 games left to go. Do you want to say what's up to those of us watching us on YouTube? Hit that like button, do subscribe, do join the conversation. Where's the conversation being had? It's in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat, say hello. It's friendly chat, and join the conversation. Whatever questions y'all have regarding the slate, we're gonna do our best to knock those out before we step aside and make way for crunch time on the premium. Kevin Roth, Andy Means taking you guys all up the lock. Scheduled blowout here, Milwaukee and OKC. Milwaukee's a 13-point favorite. 232 is the total. It is the front half of a back-to-back for Milwaukee. Just kind of throwing that out there, and it is OKC. Just kind of throwing that out there. As far as who is injured for the Milwaukee side, Wesley Matthews expected back tonight, but Grayson Allen is out with his hip. Of course, Connaughton and George Hill are out too. We're projecting Jordan Nwora to start, which is kind of interesting. And he's interesting, I think, even if he doesn't start, because he would be a guy that can thrive in a blowout too. Maybe it's Wesley Matthews, probably one of those two, but I don't know why I'm starting there. Go ahead.
This is what I'm thinking there, not just so I don't lose my train of thought. I think Wesley Matthews starts.
Yeah.
And I think Nwora is like that makes him like a much better play.
Yeah,
because I then everyone's gonna be like, I can't play him, he's not starting, and then they go to the other guy, and it's like, this is the guy who's gonna play in a blowout also as well, and he's also gonna be like their scoring unit for the second unit. They're scoring, although they will stagger Giannis and Middleton, but it'll be their like second option.
Yeah, I think he's a really interesting punt on DK, and like we're even projecting him. We're projecting to start and play, let's see, we got 28 minutes and 19 fantasy points, at 3.1K. And of course, it can get up higher than that if this game blows out. 28, that's under the assumption he starts. He doesn't start, maybe 24, 25 or something like that, and taking over for Wes Matthews in the close. Gurgies, what do you have as far as Giannis? Obviously, the priority piece, the biggest stud on the slate. We talk about Durant too. Of course, he's right there. Then Holiday and Middleton and Portis are interesting too, talking about the Bucks.
Yeah, if the game stays close, then Giannis could be a phenomenal play. It's easy to get him tonight. Like you can just, I looked at like optimals earlier, and it was like literally the 4 Suns, Payne, Shamet, Crowder, Ayton, and the three Cavs, Kevin Love, Jetty, and Mobley, and then Giannis fits perfectly as the last spot there. So I think he's going to get some traction. I don't know what to make. I have a tough time predicting blowouts. OKC plays competitive from time to time. They lock down the paint is what they do, which scares me a little bit for Giannis. Because like they're pretty good at like, they literally like throw like all of a sudden like the ball goes into the paint wherever, and they're like there's like all three of them are like in there, and they that's just like their defensive MO. So does worry me that like maybe they'll clog the paint on him, but so I'm probably gonna fade him tonight. But like I don't know, maybe if you're playing a bunch of GPPs, you should obviously have some Shea and Giannis going back and forth in your lineups.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But I think if you're playing Shea, you want to run him back with one of the elite Milwaukee guys. Hopefully, if you have the salary, Giannis. But like, yeah, we'll talk about him in a second. Of course, OKC. You talk about clogging the middle. Like, Muscala won't be able to clog it. He's out. Jerry is out. Kenrich Williams is out. Giddey is out. Favors is out. Lou Dort, no Dorter Chamber. He's out. And one more is Roby. Roby's got his back, so he's questionable. And I think he was a late scratch last game, like down to like basically the minutes or so. They have no like size or girth. Roby's not this big dude, and if he's out, then they have even less. Sar isn't a big body, I guess, but that's about it. What do you have here? Feel free to go where you want in this game, Keith. But Milwaukee and OKC. What do you have?
I'm going to start with the Giannis SGA stack. It is my favorite stack of the slate. I prefer it over Durant, LaMelo. I'm really curious to see how the ownership shakes out. Right now, we have Giannis projected higher than Durant, but he's more expensive and in a worse game environment. So I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think Durant might end up picking up at least as much ownership as Giannis. So just curious to see how that shakes out. But I'm definitely going to be over the field on the Giannis SGA stack. The Milwaukee defense has shown some holes here recently. I was looking at some data over their last 10 games. They're all the way down at 26th in defensive rating. I don't have an explanation for that. I just know that that's what the numbers show. And that I know what SGA has done without Josh Giddey and Lou Dort there to take any of his usage. He's averaged over 33 points a game, and he's just been absolutely crushing. So I don't think I think SGA has the same ceiling as Giannis and Durant in this spot, same as LaMelo. Like SGA has a ceiling up there among the best in the slate. So he is one of my favorite plays of the day.
I can't kick everybody off the court because I'm going to lose a sample size, but just taking Lou Dort and Josh Giddey off the court, right? SGA has a 36.5% usage, which is just a monster number. Keith, the only retort, like if you look at it from a basketball X's and O's kind of thing, which sometimes you dig into, sometimes you don't. Milwaukee is vulnerable from three, and they're really, really good on the inside. SGA, he can hit a three. He's just not the greatest 3-point shooter. He's capable. He probably gets like 1.5 per game, but he gets his money driving to the basket. So like any apprehension there, or it's just like the opportunity is too good?
That's a fair point, but that usage number is the one that I'm chasing. I think that just means he ends up at the foul line a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's insanely elite usage. Like literally it's like, so 37% usage over the last 4 games, 58 fantasy points over the last 4 games. A lot of places were touting like fade him against Minnesota the other night because of Patrick Beverly, because of their good wing defenders. And yes, they got blown out. So he didn't end up being a great play, but he had like 40 fantasy points at halftime or something ridiculous. Like he was like insane, like matchup proof. So I think, I'm on board too with this take from Keith.
Who's your second favorite player on the Thunder? Anybody? What's the answer?
Poku.
I don't mind Poku. We'll see if Roby plays. I think the answer is Roby if he does play. He had a couple of really good games before he got banged up.
Center only on DK is kind of annoying. You like that power forward flexibility, but yeah, pretty good price at 5.3K. If he's playing, I assume he's good to go. Keith, if Roby's out, who start? Like, what's the starting lineup in Oklahoma? Like, what is like Baisley just going to step up as the 5, or Poku going to step up as the 5?
That's what they did last game when Roby was out. Is Baisley started at the 5, and Sar did see a fair amount of run, I believe, in that game. I can pull up his minutes here real quick. I think he was up near 20 minutes. Yeah, right at 20 minutes. Sar played quite a bit.
Is Sar at all in play as like an ambitious tournament dart if this game blows out?
Only if Roby's out. If Roby's out, I think he is in play for sure.
Okay. Pokashevsky on FanDuel is what, 5'9", 5'6" on DK. Baisley 5'5", 5'8" on FanDuel.
I guess the other guy that would be chucking 3. I think Baisley is a decent play. Pokashevsky, like you want scores, but like if you want to go to your the 3-point take, like because the Bucks are surprise, surprise, last and an opponent made threes per game. They give up the most threes because that's just the way that they scheme their defense. It's the same thing every single year. Trey Mann is the guy who's going to chuck them, you know.
Yep. He will shoot them. It's just a question of whether he'll make them.
Yeah.
Willing shooter.
And he doesn't do much else. That's the problem. But
Kirk D's Middleton or Holiday?
Oh man. I don't have a strong take. It's always like Giannis or Middleton or Holiday. You know, it's like
It's a lineup construction thing probably. And like I know Keith's been talking about the strength of point guard, so I'm gonna guess Keith is gonna say Middleton for that reason, maybe.
I'm gonna say Portis.
So behind door number 3. Yeah, I like it.
I like that too.
There's not a lot of big bodies there in Oklahoma City. I think Portis can do quite a bit in this one.
Yeah, I didn't mean to neglect him. I should have acknowledged him too. And by the way, you guys think there's a chance one of these dudes sits on the front end of a back-to-back? They're playing Atlanta tomorrow night. It's OKC. I'm just floating it out there. It wouldn't shock me. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Hammer, and I'm going to yield on this one. I'm happy to not talk about it at all. Golden State at home versus the Clippers. This is the back half of the primetime game. 6-point favorite as far as the Warriors. Soon, Wiseman's like working in the G League. He's not going to be back just yet. Green's should be coming back soon as well. Otto Porter's still not available. Peyton's still not available, but they're expected to get back the 3 big boys in Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins. As far as the Clippers, they are fully healthy with the exception of, whatever. Kawhi, Paul George, Powell out for the season, I believe. Bobby Covington also. Keith, talk to me about this game that I'm gonna have an early screenshot. I think I don't know if I'm playing any of this game.
Yeah, we were talking about it pre-show. I think Kirkwood has a little bit stronger take on this game, but the Clippers are a little bit interesting. Their rotation is difficult to figure out, though. I think if I had to choose one that I was going to look to, it'd be Terrence Mann with his DK price at $6K. We've seen him handle the ball a little bit more since Bledsoe was traded away. Like Reggie Jackson's price is just too high for me. I know that he's had a good usage number here without Bledsoe, but I can't pay that price for him on this slate. I've talked about all the other point guards I want to play. Marcus Morris has been extremely inconsistent. I don't think I can go there. Hartenstein and Zubac, who knows how many minutes either one is going to play. One of them is probably going to end up with a decent game, but I don't know who it is. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't love the Clippers in this spot. It's difficult to figure out this rotation. I'd go Terrence Mann if I had to go with one.
Yeah, you mentioned RJax. Like, I think you could play him on FanDuel at 7-1, but an 8-6 on DK is just, that's a life comes at you fast moment for sure. Kirk Dees, I think this is off air. You were talking about the prospect of possibly playing one of the Morris brothers tonight, which is always comfortable, right?
Yeah, because he just fits. He's like the last one in on my lineup that just fits. And I'm not happy about it. I'm not sure if I'm definitely going to end up there. I'm trying to convince myself that, there's kind of a rivalry here with the Clippers and Golden State. Clippers beat them the last time they played. I know I was thinking maybe he'll be up. So the problem with this, like, he starts out like, if he hits like you play him, he hits like 2 threes and then he just misses and then he stops shooting and then he doesn't do anything on defense. He like never puts any effort in. So I was like trying to convince myself, well, it's Golden State. He'll come out to play tonight, but I have no real take on it. I'm trying to see how the game. Well, let's talk about the Golden State side first. I think this game's going to be competitive. Golden State's, obviously is going to know they lost to them the last time. Ty Lue's a great coach. He keeps this team competitive. So I think this game is going to have some decent spots for fantasy. I think that Gary Payton being out makes them a worse defensive team for sure. So I think there's some opportunity there for on the Clippers side. I don't really know who to get behind here. Reggie Jackson, like Keith said, is just too expensive. I don't know, but I feel like I feel like somebody's going to do well. Nicholas Batum played well when they had the game last month and won, but like he's cheap. So there's worse plays than him, but I don't really know, but I do know that Klay Thompson is ridiculously cheap over on FanDuel.
Yeah.
And so,
all the Warriors are pretty cheap on FanDuel.
I should have
I mean,
said I'm
comparatively.
playing on DK tonight. I'm not playing
Yeah.
on FanDuel, so that's what Looney is 37% owned at 4.4K, which I think is too high of an ownership number for Kevon Looney, in my opinion. But I understand why, because he's a good math play, right? Wiggins is 5.9 over there. Thompson at 5.5 is pretty solid, 24%. By the way, Lance Stevenson scratched for what it's worth. Dean Wade is starting for the Cavs, which means that Mobley is going to start at center. If you didn't, I mean, I assume
Giddy
that was
up.
a bump for Mobley.
Giddy up.
If you already didn't like him, you should, Mobley should be a pretty strong play tonight. But FanDuel specific, those Warriors guys are pretty, they're popping a little bit more. What do you have here?
Terrence, when in that game that they just beat them last month, Terrence Mann went for 46 fantasy points in that game, played 39 minutes. I think it's like the perfect game where, like, if it is competitive, that they're going to need to play him massive amount of minutes. Like, he just fits really well. He's a strong defender. So he might be the guy I like best. But, like, again, it's all lukewarm. There's
that's pretty much where I'm at. A lot of you can play him. I'm not sure if I will, but I'm only making one lineup. I don't know if I'm gonna play that guy, that kind of thing.
Classic Dean 10%,
Well, I mean, look, that's what this game is. And nobody's playing Steph, just like worth noting. Like, nobody's playing Steph tonight. He's kind of been overpriced this year. I don't know if that's fair to say as like a general thought, but I don't know when his 40-point game is coming. And he's had games where he scored like 40 points and still barely like made value, right? Sometimes. Your 20 lineups tonight, Keith, you think you'll get any Steph?
It's not very difficult to get over 3%. It wouldn't be more than 10% though if I do. He's just not a priority for me at all. Giannis, SGA. I'd rather play Kyrie and McCollum. Durant, I'm going to have LaMelo. I'm going to have. So yeah, he's way down the list. I doubt I end up on him.
All right. FanDuel question for you from the chat here, Kirk D's. Rank your FanDuel values, your favorite values tonight, FanDuel specific for tournaments. What do you have, Kirk D's?
God, you put me on the spot. It's like, Andre Drummond's the best value just because he's so cheap. We talked about that. I'm probably higher than it seemed like both of you guys were, and so I'll stick with him. Klay Thompson is just too cheap at 5,500. He stands out. Mikal Bridges, 5,800 in a game where he could get a ton of steals and blocks, stands out. And Cameron Payne, who doesn't look like the best value at 6,600, actually probably is the best value.
Oh, this is the classic Kirk D's question. So there's specific. Yappy wants to know DK tournaments, Kirk. This is how we do it. Running 40 lineups tonight. Give me the two players you would be overweight on DK. This is for both you guys. I'll have Kirk D's answer first. The two players you're going to be overweight on, not named Payne. Taking a stand. Who are the guys taking a stand on?
I want LaMelo. Like, I'm high on LaMelo, so LaMelo's like, you know what? If I was advising Yappy, I would say hit that lock button on LaMelo Ball tonight.
Woo.
And play him in every single one of them, and just ride or die with him and get over here. But what was the question? How many more do I have to come up with?
One more. Give me one more, or we'll go back and forth.
And DeAndre Ayton.
Okay.
Love the Ayton call. Yep.
Did he take yours?
No. SGA is my number one. I'm going to say just that usage number is extremely interesting to me. And if that game stays close, he's going to put up a big number here. So SGA is my guy. And since I'm playing a ton of SGA, I'm going to run it back with a ton of Giannis as well. So those are my two. If Brandon Ingram sits, CJ McCollum's going to enter that conversation.
Yeah, I like that call. Keith, DK tournaments, Torrey Craig, assuming like he gets some run with the everybody out there in Phoenix, and he's probably not the son that people are going to be running to, obviously. You have any interest in him in tournaments? Torrey Craig.
He's just not playing minutes. The other guys are in the mid 30s in minutes, and he's struggling to get 20 minutes. So I get the angle there and what they're trying to do, but I would need to see a few more minutes out of him before I'd go there.
We're projecting him for 23 for what it's worth. So kind of their sixth man, I guess. Probably doesn't close unless like something really good breaks his way. DK thoughts with as far as Nawara with Allen being out. We touched on this one, Kirkies. How do you feel about Nawara?
Feel really good. He's 3,100. I think he's going to be a great player pretty much regardless. I like him even better if he doesn't start.
Yeah. I wanted
So
to
don't
ask
be
that.
scared. Don't be scared of the non-starting, if that comes up, because it's going to be Wes Matthews is what I'm thinking they'll end up doing, but maybe they won't.
I got another yappy question for you, and I'm going to ask you, Kirkies. DK Cash. Cole is popping. Cole is popping in cash, is he? That's a little surprising. Cole, I think he's better playing FanDuel. But are you all right playing Cole in cash on DK? I don't know if I love that personally.
Yeah, I don't love it either. What's his price?
I think he's like
700 or something.
Yeah.
68, yeah, 6,800.
Man, I just feel like find the thou. Well, what's no? It's
I don't think I
not.
love that personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because it's the Mikhail Jail. I think he's fine, actually. I think he's a good play. I wouldn't get too worried about.
He's a fine play. It's just like in my brain, he's not a cash game guy. But maybe I'm not playing cash tonight for the record. But he would not land in my lineup almost definitely. It didn't sound like you were a big fan either, Keith, cash wise.
No, not for cash. I mean, I don't know if he has Ayton in his lineup already and if the positions work out, but I think you're playing on DK, you're playing Payne and Shamet for sure. I would much rather play Ayton at 66 than Cole at 68.
Keith, Jay Cott wants to know, does Coffee get some extra run tonight? And this is kind of boils down to my whole take with the Clippers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right. That's the answer. We don't know. I could try to guess for you, but no, we don't know. We've seen him play big minutes at times and play small minutes others. So fine to take a shot on if you want to.
Kirk, how do you feel about Steven Adams at 6.3K on DK?
God, I mean, this guy's been nuking lately. It's crazy what he's been doing all of a sudden. I mean, the thing for him is that he's gonna probably match the JVal minutes, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He's gonna be out there. He's been producing. Feels kind of chasey, but I think he's okay.
DK tournaments, Nawara or Shamet? I know Shamet's a little bit more, but who do you prefer there, Keith?
Yeah, I like the pivot to Nawara. And I agree with Kirkwood that he's better off the bench, should run into a little bit more usage and blowout proof as well. So I'm fine with the pivot to Nawara.
Slambert, we all like SGA tonight in tournaments. Think he's certainly worth a look. Other questions, I may have missed one. Give me your favorite stud, Keith, to spend up on tonight.
SGA.
All right, there it is. Kirkies?
Kevin Durant.
And your favorite run back?
LaMelo.
Just wanted to confirm that one. Keith, if you can do me real quick a favor, rank your interest in the Suns. Power rank the Suns for me.
Power rank the Suns, point per dollar. Payne is number one. I think I would have Ayton number two. I know he's more expensive than the other guys, but I just feel really good about the offense running through him tonight. So give me Payne, Ayton, and then if it's DK, it's Shamet for sure because of his price.
Crowder's right off the podium.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, we got to step aside and get out of here. Make way for crunch time. Do appreciate producer Devin and making things work for us. Appreciate y'all watching us on the old YouTube. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on notifications. Join our Discord. We give away free premium, usually like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just hang out and join the conversation. Producer Devin just kind of swoops in. We'll give away a week across the board, not just basketball for what it's worth. So join the conversation tomorrow night. That was Kirk Dees. That was Keith. That was basketball. That was Dean. We're out of here. Good luck tonight. Holler.